Hello, everyone, and welcome into your weekend card reading. So this will be for Saturday, April 27th and Sunday, April 28th. And we'll be taking a look at what are the energies wanting to come through for the collective, and then go sign grouping by sign grouping, and I'll pull a couple cards for each individual zodiac sign. So for this weekend, I wanted to use my Alice in Wonderland deck. It seems like it's been a while since I used that one, and that's what was calling to me for today. So let's see what all messages Alice has in store for us. All right, for the collective in general, we have Five of Wands, so there's some conflict and rivalry. We have Seven of Swords in reverse, and then we have Ace of Swords in reverse. So with this conflict and rivalry card, they're kind of all just like battling each other. So that's your Wands energy. And then we have our swords. We have our Seven of Swords in reverse and our Ace of Swords in reverse. So I'll hold those up so you can see those a little bit better. So the Seven of Swords in reverse, there's a little bit of like confessing about whatever the lies are. So the Seven of Swords is about like this lies and deception and kind of cheating. And there's in the reverse, it's about having some sort of a confession. So, or, and some of that's confessing to yourself, or it's that, somebody who's wronged you may be coming towards you to confess and, ask for forgiveness. And then with your Ace of Swords in reverse, that's going to be some confusion, and you have like some loss of focus in terms of what it is that you want to do. So it seems like there's definitely some I'll call it low vibe energy out there, given that you have this Five of Wands. And like I said, this is like this conflict and rivalry. So let's take a look. We'll dig into each of the individual sign groupings and see how exactly these additional energies are playing out. So we'll use the dog deck to get some more clarity for each individual, or for each of the groupings, and then we'll pull some more Alice in Wonderland cards for each individual zodiac sign as well. So I do have, I thought I had posted it yesterday, but I don't think I have the message from your person. I'll be doing some other videos as well, some of the other special videos. So make sure to hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when those post. And also, with today being the 27th, I will be working on the threes for the first half of May as well. So you'll want to check those out when they post. And if you haven't seen those before, the reads that I do for the first half of the month, or like the second half of the month, I take a look at what is happening, big picture. Are there planets that are in retrograde, or are there ones moving direct? Is a planet moving into a certain sign, and talking about things like that and how those energies are affecting you. So we look at it in 2-week blocks there. So definitely make sure to check out your sign. With those, I do it grouping by grouping, and then I pull cards individually for each of the 3 zodiac signs within that grouping. All right, so for today, let's start out with our earth signs, and that is going to be our Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. What messages want to come through for you? All right, we've got the Six of Pentacles, and we have the Three of Swords, and then we have the Hierophant in reverse. So our Six of Pentacles, it's a little bit of this like charitable energy. So you can see, look at all the little dog paws that are trying to get in there, asking for help. So if you can't see them very well, they're here along the bottom. So there's this charitable giving type of energy, and also this sorrow and heartbreak that's coming through. And with the Hierophant in reverse, this is going to be like breaking out of traditional structures. So it could be for some of you with this sense of like conflict and rivalry. Like if you've just been butting heads with somebody in a certain situation, whether this is a work situation, whether this is personal relationships, like romantic relationships, that there's just been this constant butting of heads and feeling like less of a partnership and more like it's a zero-sum game. So if you win, that means I lose. So it's like, how do I win over the other person, when in reality, life isn't always a zero-sum game. So it's kind of like there's this this heartbreak that's going along with breaking out of whatever the structure is. So if it was a job that people would generally look at it and say, oh, that's a great job, that's, you know, very stable, that's very responsible to do, or oh, you're married to somebody, that's a traditional structure, good for you. It's like you're breaking out of this, and it's causing some sorrow to do it. But there's just, there's been some lying and cheating and deception in the past, and it's kind of like this sense of, how did we get there? Like, why are we at this spot? And so there's some feelings of regret and remorse, and wanting to own up to it, but then also this confusion. It's just kind of like everything just feels like it's all a mess, and so there is this energy of, how do I get out of this? I just want, whatever I need to do, I want to do to get out of it. So there is, it's interesting with the two of these coming together. It's like there's this conflict and this kind of rivalry, but at the same time, there's this generosity, like almost when you get to that point of saying, you know what, enough is enough. If it's for example, a work situation, no, I don't want this big severance package. I just want to be done. Like, that's okay. That's okay. Here, you want this work product from me before I go? Fine. Like that sort of energy coming in general for our earth signs. So that's our Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Or here, we'll do the oracle cards next, and then we'll pull a couple cards individually for each one within earth signs. So for our soul journey card, we have regret. I know that I cannot change the past. So this is kind of going along with this sense of, confession and remorse. Like, you feel bad about something that's happened and you regret it, but you also know that you can't change it. And so some things, you can't change it. You can apologize for it and then you move on, but there's no way to undo what's already been done. And, that situation, it's caused enough heartbreak. And so it's kind of like, okay, what do we do to move past that? So, all right, let's pull. This is from that new deck that I made. And it says, I dream about our future together. So there's that one. And then I dream about you. So there is some of this energy that's coming in, that you were dreaming about what this looks like, but there is a sense of, this is just a dream. Given all of the other heavy energy that's in here, it comes across with like this air of sadness about it. So not so much like, oh, I'm optimistically and hopefully dreaming about this future together. It's almost more like, I've been dreaming about it for so long, but there's all of this confusion right now, and heartbreak and heartache and regret. Let's pull a card here. The good kind. Okay, so there's the good kind, and then changes. So there's going to be some good changes coming up for you, because it does look like there's an awful lot going on. Let's pull a timing card as to when these good changes are going to be coming through. All right. Within 3 months. So it looks like things are going to be changing pretty quickly here for you. It's just a matter of, what does that look like? It looks like breaking out of some traditional structure, and that's going to cause some sorrow and some heartache. But kind of that key with that generosity is, that's going to help you through it. So let's go sign by sign and see what clarification we can get about this situation as I throw the cards on the floor. All right. So we will start with Taurus. What do our Taurus need to know about this situation? Ace of Pentacles in reverse and King of Cups in reverse. So with it being two aces in reverse, it's like there's this reluctance to let this new beginning happen. So there's this energy of, change needs to happen because you're just kind of sitting here in this combative angst. I mean, it's almost like you're just continuing to fight this fight, but you don't know why you're fighting it, because there's been these lies and deceit in the past that, there is a sense of remorse and confessing to it, but it's not necessarily that, oh, things are changing. We do have our King of Cups in reverse, and then we have our Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So our King of Cups in reverse is there's this manipulation that's happening. There's a lot of worry and stress, and then, failed opportunities. So there's been failed investments. You've been putting your energy and your effort, because remember, your Pentacles, it's not just money, it's also time, energy, resources, thought, attention. You've been putting all of it into this situation, and it's a failed investment. You're not getting that return. You're getting this conflict, you're getting this sense of regret, you're getting this sense of heartache, and you may have been dreaming about this future together with this person, or if this is a work situation for you, you may have been dreaming about, what is this going to look like when it finally takes off? What's it going to look like? But continuing to invest time, energy, and money into something that's not actually bringing forth any results, there's this sense of regret, like, well, but if I throw in the towel now, all this energy that I've put in until this point has been for nothing. It's been wasted. But that's not really the way to look at it. You need to look at it that you've learned something through this, and you've gotten whatever useful experience, growth experience you can out of this, but don't continue to stay in a situation doing something as a way to punish yourself for having regrets about the way that things played out. So that is for our Taurus. Specifically, the message there is that this opportunity, or this missed opportunity, if it was about this dream, like you were hoping that this was going to come together, and it's just not. It's it's kind of that failed investment, and it's causing you more manipulation and worry and stress, and it's just not bringing forth the results that you thought it was going to. All right, Virgo. Oops. This one jumped. For Virgo, the Fool. So that is starting off on a new path. That was your jumper card. You have the Two of Pentacles in reverse, and then you have the Queen of Swords in reverse. I was just looking to make sure that the whole deck wasn't turned upside down, and it's not. So your Queen of Swords in reverse has a little bit of this kind of bitter energy, so normally the Queen of Swords is like cutting away all the nonsense, but this is almost doing it in like that bitter way of seeing through things. And then your Two of Pentacles is you're juggling these decisions, and you feel like there's really not a good solution. So and sometimes I know some people will say, if you've been juggling decisions for a long time and you feel like you kind of keep looping and you're torn between two decisions, take the new path. And so this is the Fool card, is that new beginning. It's this card about change. And so it's kind of a matter of it almost feels like, even though I haven't seen it coming out yet, it almost feels like a Tower moment. Like there's just all of this, there's this, and it kind of feels like just this new start. So that's what's coming through for Virgo, as well as that new beginning. And then Capricorn, we have the Sun in reverse, and we have our Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is about moving on. So he's looking at his watch, and then there's those ships out there. So looking at those ships and, what other opportunity is out there, because right now with the Sun in reverse, it's kind of that air of pessimism. Like you feel like you're locked out of your blessings in this current scenario, in this cycle of, I've been dreaming about this for so long, but instead of it coming through the way that I'm dreaming about it, it's coming through as rivalry and conflict. It's coming through as heartbreak. It's coming through as remorse. And, so the experience in your mind, it's kind of like that difference of the experience in your mind is not matching the experience that you're getting in reality. And I like it. There was a reader that I listened to a lot, and she says, reality is right 100% of the time. So, obviously that doesn't speak to reasons, motives, blah, blah, blah. But the reality of the situation is if you're getting this, that's not what you've been dreaming of. So it's a matter of, do you change your dream? Do you change your environment? Do you change how you're interacting? So that's, kind of a heavier weekend for the earth signs. But that's what was coming through for earth signs. And next we will move on to our water signs. So that is going to be our Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Let's see what comes through for Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces for this weekend. All right. Strength in reverse, Six of Wands in reverse, and the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So, I think that's so funny. The dog riding on the horse. So your Six of Wands in reverse is going to be some like disappointment and even to the point of disgrace. And then you have your Strength in reverse, which is going to be that sense of like weakness and vulnerability. And then, there we go. And then we have our Page of Pentacles in reverse, which is kind of this like laziness and immaturity and some of that like lack of direction. In this one, putting it in the upright, he's not going anywhere. He's just sitting there with his pentacle, kind of looking at it like, I don't know what to do. So overall for our water signs, this heavy energy is creating this sense of, I just don't even know what to do. So whatever this situation is that somebody's confessing to you, or it could be that you're confessing to somebody else, or kind of like owning up to something that's happened. It's something that's been very disappointing for some of you, even disgraceful about what's happened, and you don't really know how to own up to it, and you don't necessarily want to. And remember, as we go through this, if this storyline isn't resonating, don't try to make it fit. So what I'm channeling into is a story that it's going to be applicable for some people, but not for others. So if this is feeling applicable to you, then definitely there's a message in here for you. But if this is not your storyline, don't try to force it to fit your life scenario. But yeah, so it's kind of like with all of this feuding and butting heads, it's kind of this sense of, feeling disgraced and kind of just totally depleted, like with the Strength card. Health, I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul, and then humor, I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. So both of those cards are coming through like you've got to figure out how to detach from whatever this cycle is that's going round and round in your head. Focus on things that make you happy, things that make you laugh, things that are good for your physical body. So exercise, walks, relaxation time, soaking in a hot bath, things like that. All right. As it relates to relationships, I want a fresh start with you, and your smile lights up my soul. So there's an energy within this connection of, okay, there's been all of this garbage that's happened. How can we get a fresh start? How can we kind of be done with all of this? Because it's not serving either one of us. And then we'll look, sign by sign and see what other energies are coming through with that, to see whether you're being pushed to try harder or, try again, or cut ties. Stop, drop, and ground. So I feel like before you do anything, and this one's really coming through with these cards, before you do anything, work on your grounding. Make sure that whatever you're doing, because of the fact that there's been like there's been this confusion and this loss of focus and just all this kind of chaos, and you're getting in information, you know, with that Seven of Swords in reverse, you're getting in information about something that somebody else has done, or maybe it's something you've done, that you're not happy about, that it was embarrassing, it was disappointing, it could have been disgraceful. And so this stop, drop, and ground is kind of that reminder before you let the knee-jerk reaction of, oh yay, they're apologizing, everything's fine. Really kind of think about it, because you also have, like with this Ace of Pentacles in reverse energy, it has a laziness to it, but it also has I'll call it almost like a deliberate energy of pause. So if this person, you know, and sometimes this happens in relationships, depending on the, I'll call it emotional maturity level of both of the people, that you go through these explosive patterns of, you know, where it escalates and actually, so this is similar to the way patterns of abuse are, where it's like you have the honeymoon stage, everything's wonderful, and then things kind of build and build and build, and, you know, one person, you know, I'll call it the receiver, I'm not going to say victim, the receiver tends to walk on eggshells because they don't want to set off the other person, but then something happens and sets it off. There's this big explosion, you know, emotional or physical, and then it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, and it's almost like, okay, is that what's happening here? When the energy's coming through, I want a fresh start with you, your smile lights up my soul. This could either be genuine, true feelings, or that could be part of the cycle where, you know, oh, I'm so sorry, but it's just going to happen again. So that's one of those things, like, especially if that message comes when you're feeling like weak and vulnerable and depleted, you're more likely to attach onto that message, even if it's not a sincere message. And this popped into my head for those of you that like musical theater or musical movies, from Into the Woods. There's a part, and that's the one where it's kind of like all these different fairy tales interwoven. And one of the princes he's talking to, I think it's either the baker's wife or Cinderella, I can't remember which one. And he says, my parents raised me to be charming, not sincere. And it's Prince Charming that said that. And so it was interesting, like just that one line, because it's like, oh, it's Prince Charming. And the way he says, you know, they raised me to be charming, not sincere. It's like, ooh, oh. So that's almost kind of that energy that I'm getting with this is that Prince Charming energy, but it may not necessarily be sincere. Let's take a look. We'll start with Cancer and see what cards are coming through. We have Eight of Wands in reverse, and then we have the World in reverse. So your Eight of Wands in reverse, this is, there's going to be delays. So Eight of Wands is usually about overcoming obstacles, but there's delays. And even the World in reverse is going to be delays as well. So sometimes it's seen as being like bad luck or misfortune, but it's really that there's delays that are happening. So anytime there are delays, think about it from the perspective of what is Spirit trying to tell you? Like, what is it that you need to learn to be able to close out this cycle? So I'm going to pull one more card here for Cancer. What is Spirit advising Cancer to do with these delays that are happening and all of this other heavy energy? What is Cancer being advised to do? So this is the Ten of Swords, but it is in the reverse. So this is learning that lesson. It's turning that corner. So, you know, the World card is about completing that lesson. And if there's been some delays, it's because the lesson hasn't been learned. So like you can't advance to the next course. You know, I usually equate these to signing up for classes. It's kind of like, okay, you're at the, you know, from college lingo, you're at the 100 level course. You can't move up to the 200 level course until you've passed the 100 level course, because the 200 level is not going to make any sense to you. So you haven't been able to, there's been some delays. And so it's really coming through that example I gave of, my parents raised me to be charming, not sincere. Is this really a sincere, heartfelt comment, gesture, whatever you want to call it? Or is this part of the Prince Charming part that ends up sucking you in and then you go through another loop? Because there is a lot of energy here of feeling disappointed, disgraced, burned out. And like I said, depending on where this message comes in, if this comes in on the heels of you've just had this big emotional apocalypse and big fight, all of this, crying and come crashing down, if this is the message that's coming through after the crashing down, if somebody is the one who keeps causing these, this is probably not a sincere message. It's probably, they may not be intentionally doing it, but they could be. It's like they're just not being responsible for the way that they're treating you on the buildup, because they know that you'll forgive them. They just have to apologize later. And so something that I used this recently in my personal life, more so related to kids, but saying, no, I'm no longer accepting apologies, just changed behavior. And the idea with that is that if you know that all you have to do is say, oh, I'm sorry, and everything's all fine, are you really going to change the behavior? So I'd use that line, I'm no longer accepting apologies, only change behavior. Oops. That made a big snap there. So who knows? Maybe that meant it was an extra important message. So, all right. That was for Cancer. Now we'll look at Scorpio. We have the Four of Swords and we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. All right. So our Four of Swords energy, it's this deep rest and recuperation. He looks like he's about to be speared with these swords. I'm trying to see if I can get it to focus on the swords. There you go. And then our Five of Pentacles in reverse, that is about kind of overcoming this adversity and moving on. And in the upright, it's about being locked out of your blessing. So in the reverse, it's about how do you change that scenario? How do you flip that dynamic? So Scorpio, this was coming through with Cancer as well. Is this a sincere message? Or is this, I talked about it kind of at length, is it Prince Charming energy? Like, okay, well, I'll be charming, but I'm not necessarily going to be sincere. And so I'd use that. It's a line from the musical Into the Woods, where Prince Charming says, my parents raised me to be charming, not sincere. And there's a difference there. So it's kind of like, how do you reflect and do your healing and then move on from the scenario that is causing you these feelings here of disappointment, feelings of shame, feelings of disgrace? Because if you're in a cycle where, there's constantly fighting and then you apologize, fighting, get back together, fighting, how do you get yourself out of that? Why do you continue, and this is the healing work to do with it, why do you continue to be in situations that are not, I guess, feeding your soul? So let's pull a timing card, since there is that card of moving on from that. Let's take a look at when you're overcoming that adversity, when does it look like that's happening? Before the next holiday. So for you, whatever your next holiday is, usually those come up pretty regularly. So depending on where you live, your religion, your culture, take a look and see what the next holiday is. But I would guess for most people, there's one within 3 to 7 weeks. So, all right. Let's take a look at Pisces now and see what message wants to come through for Pisces. We have our Seven of Cups in reverse, and then we have our Ace of Cups. So, all right, we have some Cups energy here, and the Ace of Cups is this new offer that's coming in, this creativity, this inspiration, this love. Your Seven of Cups in reverse is a little bit of this like confusion, though. There's too many options. She's looking at all of these different things that are up there on the wall, all these different cups, and she doesn't know which one to pick. And each of them has something different in it. It looks like one has a demon, one has a ghost, one has cakes, one has flamingos, one has a crown in it, you know, so there's all sorts of different things to choose from. And she doesn't really know which one she needs to take, but there is this energy of love and creativity and inspiration that wants to come in. And so you know, focusing on humor, what makes you happy, which of those cups is going to help feed your physical body, feed your soul, feed your happiness. And, you know, some of these cups are going to continue to have this conflict and rivalry. So, you know, there's one of the ghosts. One of the cups next to her has a ghost in it. So it's kind of like the ghosts of the past are going to keep coming up. So that's an option. One of the cups has a beast thing in it, whatever that is. You can't really tell who this other figure is, this dark-haired figure next to her. I don't know if that's supposed to be like the Queen of Cups. So if you can see it and you can tell what that's supposed to be, drop a comment below. But, you know, she has all these different choices, and it's a matter of what choice are you going to make? And Spirit is pushing and advising Pisces, pick the cup that has the love, that has the creativity. All these other cups, just let them spill, let them go by the wayside. Pick the one that has the love in it. So that was for our water signs. Now let's move on to our air signs and see what messages want to come through for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius for this weekend. All right. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We have 3 of Wands, which is about moving on, 4 of Swords, which is about healing, and then we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. So this is about laying down those burdens. So our Wands energy is spirit, and then Swords energy is thoughts. So you are working on some good healing and recovering. You know, so the 10 of Wands in reverse, it does have to do with like burnout and stress, but there's also this energy of just like, okay, lay it down. You've been carrying, you know, for this dog, you've been carrying all 10 of these sticks for so long, just lay them down. And, you know, with your 4 of Swords energy, that's that rest, that recuperation, that inner healing work. And then with the 3 of Wands, it's almost like, you know, you have a sense of moving on. So there's, if you notice, 2 of the Wands are behind the dog, and there's one that's out in front of it. So it's almost this energy of, you know, I have these things in the past, and I'm not going to let my past guide me exactly where I need to go. I'm going, rather than focusing on the ones behind me, I'm focusing and I'm looking at the one that's out there in front of me. And that's the direction that I want to go. I don't want to deal with this repeating, looping energy anymore. So especially as it relates here to, you know, you've had this conflict, this rivalry, like I'm done with letting my mind focus on that. Then with the 7 of Swords, having that sense of confession, remorse, like I really wish that things wouldn't have gone that way. But also with the Ace of Swords in reverse, like this confusion, this kind of chaos and loss of focus and all of that. It's like, you know what? That's all in the past. Like, I don't want to focus on that. I want to heal. I want to move forward in more of an unburdened way. All right, let's pull some cards here for air signs. Self-esteem. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. So, and that could be part of what's causing this conflict, is somebody's jealous of the gifts that you possess. They're jealous of your energy. So that could be part of what's causing some of this conflict and rivalry. There's too many red flags, and I think you should move on. So this, you know, whatever this scenario is, where there, you know, if this is a work situation, like there's just too much going on. There's too many things that you're not in agreement with that don't match your journey, your soul, your life's purpose. If this is with a relationship, And these cards, when I was writing them, a lot of them, it was the energy coming in from the other person. Like, what do they want to tell you? And, you know, with the thing, there's too many red flags, and see, like, all the flags are stacking on top of each other, that there's just too many of them, and to move on. So there could even be ones that you don't know about. Like, if this person, since this is about remorse and confession, there could be red flags that you don't even know about. So this is kind of that energy of, you know, I think you should move on. And that's energetically kind of some of the push. Like, but if you're doing that, the key to that also is that you have to work on the healing. Because if you don't, if you just physically move on and say, okay, well then fine, I'm done with this relationship, I'm going to go find one that fits, there's still that issue of why do you either attract in or allow relationships that are imbalanced to begin with? Like, if there's that many red flags, why were you ignoring the red flags? What healing work needs to be done in order to see you in a more balanced, healthy place? And then the jumper card here was choose who you are becoming. So it's a matter of, you know, if you're moving on, it doesn't matter who you were in the past. Who are you becoming? How can you make decisions in alignment with who you are becoming? And then befriend the word polarize. So this one I feel like is really applicable, and it's kind of matching here with these red flags. Are you too much of a people pleaser, that you don't want to disrupt the apple cart? You don't want to cause unnecessary discussions about things. And so you saw the red flag, but you didn't want to make a big deal out of it. And it's like, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe I just need to look at it differently. And then you got to this point where it's like you're burying certain things because you don't want to, you know, upset the apple cart. You don't want to rock the boat. So with befriend the word polarize, that's in relation to you being true to yourself and speaking your mind. And I'm not saying you have to be really harsh or brazen when you do it, but, you know, still correctly communicating your thoughts, desires, concerns, whatever that might be. So for me, befriend the word polarize is really about speaking your truth and feeling comfortable and secure in saying, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what I believe, and making sure that you're not making yourself small for other people. And as I was saying, that the Empress is what jumped out. And the Empress is that that divine feminine energy, that inner wisdom, that sort of energy, the higher consciousness, all that good stuff. So, all right, let's pull for Gemini and see what specific messages we have. We have Seven of Pentacles in reverse. I was thinking we had that one already. And Knight of Cups. So your Seven of Pentacles in reverse is going to be about kind of abandoning some of these efforts and projects. Like in this one, this is the whole, you know, painting the roses red. So they never actually finish doing that. It's like they start to do it and then it's abandoning that project. And then you have your King of Cups energy, which is about wisdom and balance. So sometimes, remember, abandoning a project isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of like if you've been continuing to stand in the ring and fight with this person, sometimes the way to stop the fighting is to just get out of the ring. So it's kind of that wisdom and balance, and knowing when to say enough is enough on that. And that's part of this higher consciousness, this inner wisdom as well, is knowing when to say, okay, maybe it is time to move on from situations that just aren't serving me. So let's see, advice from Spirit here for Gemini about this situation. We have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Oh my gosh, this dog. And I love it that this bird has the little cloak on. So Nine of Pentacles in reverse is about overspending. And so that's kind of like this overgiving of yourself. And so advice from Spirit with this coming up is it's more like, okay, rein that in. set those boundaries and don't keep overgiving to situations that are feeding this sort of combative type of energy. All right, Libra. Let's take a look at what messages want to come through for Libra. We have the Hanged Man, and we have the Queen of Pentacles. So the Hanged Man is that period of reflection, and it's kind of like you're taking a beat to think about it and try to see it from all different angles before you make a decision. So that's, that very balancing Libra type of energy. And then your Queen of Pentacles, this is about that comfort and luxury and sitting there like you have all you need. And it's a beautiful energy to be in, because it's like you have all you need. So when you're going through this Hanged Man phase, it's like I'm sitting in a comfortable spot, so I don't need somebody else to fill this bucket. So if this is what somebody else is pouring into my bucket, why am I giving them access to my bucket? And that goes really well with this higher consciousness, like inner wisdom, that sort of thing. Is if you're sitting in a good place on your own, and this is a great message just across the board, if you're sitting in a good, comfortable space on your own, you are better able to put up boundaries against, or put better protection against people who are not making a positive contribution to your life. And I'm not saying to only energetically engage with somebody if they can do something for me. Like, this is not in a vindictive, malicious, self-serving type of a way, but that person, with any of your energetic exchanges, relationships, there should be a positive exchange. And it's not necessarily what is this person physically doing for me? Are they doing these nice things for me? Do they check this box? But do you smile when you think about them? Like, even if they're not, doing all these big grand gestures, if when you think about them, they make you smile, that's a positive energetic influence. If every time you think about them, you're like, then that's not. So, Aquarius. Let's see what messages want to come through for Aquarius for this weekend. We have our Page of Swords, and we have the Emperor. So that's, the Emperor and the Empress together. This can be that masculine, feminine energy kind of coming into balance. And then we also have our Page of Swords energy. So Page of Swords is that planning and curious type of energy. So the rabbit, he's planning to go somewhere. He has his scroll. He's planning to do something. And it's kind of those initial stages. So for our Aquarius, it's kind of like you're seeing some of these pieces, the red flags, this push to move on, this work on the healing. And so you're kind of planning, okay, what does that look like on the other side for me? Because sometimes it's hard when you're sitting in the current moment of knowing what to do. But this Page of Swords energy kind of has this forward thinking, how do I manifest a better future? How do I manifest a happier future that doesn't involve this energy? And, so you're at that early stages of kind of planning and trying to figure out, what is my highest good? What will make me happy? What will bring me peace? What will bring me that alignment? And so you're starting to think in those terms. So good start to that energy. And that is the message for our air signs. And now, this was what air signs. And now we are on to our fire signs. So fire signs is going to be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Jumper card there. We had our Seven of Swords. So that is the lying, cheating, deceitful type of energy coming up. Let's see what else we have for our for our fire signs, for Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. What else do we have? I'll pull 3 because that was a jump card. The Sun in reverse, the Fool in reverse, and the Ace of Cups in reverse. So lots of reverse energy here. Interestingly, the only 2 cards that came up across these 7 for our fire signs. The only 2 that came up in the upright are 5 of Wands and 7 of Swords. So that's, those 2 energies are, I'll call them low vibe energies. It's this conflict and rivalry was one of them. And then like the lies, deceitfulness, cheating type of energy. So, pairing that up, it looks like there has been some dishonesty within the life for fire signs. So whether this is you are being dishonest with somebody else, they're being dishonest with you, maybe it's just a giant cluster where everybody's lying to everybody. But it's leaving you feeling like you're locked out of your blessings, like your abundance is not coming in, like there's barriers to your happiness, which is true, because generally you're not going to get those feelings of abundance and happiness when you're engaging in such low vibrational situations. So this conflict and apathy and rivalry and everything, that is low vibe energy. Having this like lying, deceitful, cheating energy, that's low vibe energy. So that's generally not when the universe says, yeah, let's give you all your blessing. Let's give you everything you ever wanted. Because of the fact that you're not at a high vibration. So if you were to get those blessings, it's going to be temporary and they're going to go away. And part of that is to teach you the lesson of you need to be in a higher vibrational state in order to sustain those happy, high vibrational experiences. So some of this, or this is going to be related as well. There's this Fool in reverse energy. So you're failing to learn from the past. You're clinging to the past, and you're like, you don't know what the future looks like, so you don't want to take that jump. So instead you keep circling. It's kind of like this. You keep circling the drain of these, low vibe, crappy experiences because you don't want to move on. Like you're afraid to let go of the past. You're afraid to take that leap of faith. And then with your Ace of Cups in reverse, this is this feeling of being unloved and a feeling of loss. Like you can tell something's missing, and it's almost like you probably know what it is, but it's like there's still something in the past or, in your current situation or whatever that is keeping your feet locked in there and not wanting to move. So the card it didn't jump, but it flipped, was Balance. And it says, I bring a state of perfect harmony into my world, and I do so without judgment. I'll take a look at that one in more detail here. Friendship. I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. And this goes beyond just friendship. This is everybody who's a relatively recurring figure in your life is there for a reason. They're there to teach you some sort of a lesson, to help you in your growth in some way, shape, or form. And then this card about balance, about bringing in balance without judgment. That's going to be the key for you to be able to find that balanced experience, because some of it's a matter of don't judge yourself, but it's also, do you have judgmental beliefs in your mind about certain situations or scenarios? So if this is relationship related, do you have certain ideas in your mind that need to be let go of? Like, oh, well, if they get a divorce, obviously it's because they're just too lazy to work on their marriage. Like, is that, for example, a thought that runs through your head, or, oh, people who get divorced, they're just quitters. Is that a narrative in your head, like that you're judging how those people are bringing balance to their life? And if so, that's what needs to change before you can bring balance to yours. And it's funny, this was popping into my head. So I had, if you remember from, I'd say the 90s, they were those Successories posters where it was like the picture and there's a word underneath and some inspirational message. There was the, now I can't remember what they were called. It'll come to me in a minute here, but it was like the reverse of those. It was kind of like the sarcastic version of it. And it was something about, I think it said like winners underneath, and it showed some track person with a baton, and they're like that. And it's like, if winners never or if winners never quit and quitters never win, if you don't quit and you don't win, then you're just an idiot or something like that. So it's kind of like that whole thing of, you know, like, and that's what popped into mind with this whole thing when I said, you know, if your belief in your mind is, oh, well, people who get a divorce, they're just quitters. Well, if that's what brings them peace and balance and alignment, I'd say they're winners. They made the choice. But if you're not changing that dynamic, so you're not quitting on your marriage and you're absolutely miserable, so you're not quitting and you're not winning, you know, then what does that say? Okay. The card that jumped is I don't feel like I'm good enough for you. And then I'll pull another one as well. I need to focus on my family right now. So that's the message that's coming through with our fire signs. So, you know, some of this conflict and rivalry could be related to feelings of inadequacy. That if there's a new experience, you know, so this failure to move on, failure to take that leap, if it's because you're in another situation, so this is coming up as, you know, third party type of energy, that that you're continuing to be engaged in this draining established relationship when what you really want to do is go a different direction. You're not going that direction because you're trying to focus on your family and you feel like you're not good enough. So some of that, as it relates to, you know, some of your healing work, you know, you need to get to the bottom of some of these lies. So some of the lies could be that you're telling yourself you're not good enough. But it just seems like there's an awful lot of other low vibe, not helpful energy. I'll even go as to say it's devil energy that's keeping you locked in. It's keeping you in this combative cycles of lying and deceitfulness and just butting heads with somebody. And then it says, get back to elemental. That was the one that jumped. And then limitations inspire innovations. So if you feel like you're limited in your life because of a certain situation, it's going to require you to think about it in different ways. So like the example I was giving, if this is relationship related and you're in an unhappy scenario and the lie that you've been telling yourself is, oh, well, if somebody gets a divorce, then that means they're a failure, you know, type of thing. If you feel limited by that, that's going to inspire you to be innovative, inspire you to be creative and really dig deep into, well, what type of scenario would I like for myself? And so whenever you feel like there's been a roadblock put in place, it kind of makes you think about, well, what's the way around this roadblock? Why is this roadblock here? Is there a different way, a different road altogether to take? So it's going to inspire some innovation there. All right, let's pull cards. We'll start with Aries and see what messages want to come through for you. We have Ace of Wands and we have Judgment in reverse. So your Ace of Wands is going to be that excitement, that new beginning, that creativity. And then Judgment in reverse is kind of that sense of not learning from the past. So it's like you have this energy that wants to come in. There's this new beginning that wants to come in. You know, you have the Fool energy that wants to come in, but you're continuing to cycle through and hold on to patterns that aren't serving you. Because the Judgment in reverse, this is, you know, as I've talked about it before, if life is like a class that you signed up for, the, you know, Judgment is your final exam. Did you learn the lesson that you were supposed to be learning in this specific course? And if the answer to that is no, that you haven't learned the lesson, you haven't integrated that, well, all right, back to the beginning of the course again, semester starts over. And so it's almost like there's that sort of energy that's coming through a little bit like, you know, you're on the heels of having to repeat this course because it's like you're clinging to the past. You're not wanting to let go of it. You're, you know, because you feel like, oh, I need to focus on something else. You know, some of this limitations inspire innovations. I would say this is a challenge of you are going to loop back through an unhappy cycle because this is what you're telling yourself, that you're focusing on your family right now, which that's a noble thing to do, but from an innovation standpoint, can you focus on your family in a different way than what you have been doing? So if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got or gotten. So this is that challenge with the Judgment in reverse. This is that challenge of how do you think about things from a different perspective? How can you look at your scenario through a different lens that gets rid of this, you know, pretty crappy energy there, pretty draining situations. How can you look at your life from a different scenario? So actually here, we'll pull one more. What is advice from Spirit for Aries? Advice from Spirit, please, for our Aries. All right, so we had our 8 of Wands in reverse. So this is about delays. It is overcoming obstacles, but it's not that fast moving energy. There's some delays. So I don't know. Let's see. Let's pull one more. And then we can also pull a timing card too. And then the Devil in reverse. So the delays are because you're still getting sucked into this devil energy over here. So the advice here, Devil in reverse, is really about breaking free from that energy. So let's make it happen now. So from a timing perspective, make it happen now within 3 to 6 months. So, so you're really being pushed to let go of this devil energy. And the devil energy is what's keeping you looping through the lies. It's keeping you looping through this conflict and rivalry. And some of this devil energy is these feelings of lack of self-worth, you know, like, oh, I'm just not good enough for you. And, oh, I need to focus. It's almost like, yes, you do need to focus on your family, but it's almost like, I don't feel good enough, so I'm going to focus somewhere else because that's a legitimate reason. No one's ever going to say, how dare you be thinking about your family, you know, but it's almost like that's a mask for the, I don't feel good enough. And it's funny as I say mask, because this kind of looks like a mask at the bottom, like covering up the eyes. All right, Leo, let's see what we got for Leo for the weekend. We have the King of Swords and we have the 4 of Pentacles. So your King of Swords energy is going to be this authority, this discipline. And then your 4 of Pentacles, that's about stability. Sometimes it's a little bit of that rigidity, but it's like, I'm going to hold on to what's mine. And so this is, you know, it's good to have this authority and discipline as long as it's not keeping you looping through some of these cycles. And so some of this, it almost feels like, you know, when you look at the face of, I don't know, I guess that's supposed to be Humpty Dumpty. Well, I don't know, because this is from Alice in Wonderland. But when you look at his face, it's like this is the way we do it. But it almost comes across that is that energy of, well, we're doing it this way because we've always done it that way. Well, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. And if this is the scenario that you've always gotten, this, you know, lies and deceit and apathy, you know, and conflict and rivalry and all of that, that's what you're going to get more of. So let's pull a card here. Advice from Spirit on Leo. Like, what does Leo need to do to break free from this situation? We have the 3 of Cups. So this is about that teamwork, that feeling, that celebration, that friendship, that community. So it's almost like this is not, you know, I'll put it this way. This is not your tribe. So this is not your tribe. This is not where you want to be. It might be where you are, but this is not where you want to be. So, so find your tribe. Find your 3 of Cups. Look at those dogs. Look at how happy they are. That's what you need to find in order to move yourself out of this heavy situation. All right, Sagittarius. Let's see what we got for you for the weekend. We have got the 3 of Cups in reverse. Interesting. And the 8 of Swords. So for Sagittarius, there's this energy of feeling like you're just lonely and like you're on your own. Like you don't have that celebration. You don't have that friendship. You're off on your own. So I smiled because with Leo, their advice from Spirit was the Three of Cups in the upright. But the energy pushing on Sagittarius is that lonely, kind of off on your own energy. And Eight of Swords, you feel like you're trapped. But, you know, and it's interesting in this deck, she actually is more trapped than in most tarot decks. When you look at, I'm seeing if I can get this to focus better on her. When you look at this card in most tarot decks, there's only one sword, maybe two, that are ahead of the figure. It's almost more like a self-imposed sense of like being locked up. But in this deck, she really is in a much tighter situation, because if you look, like there's this sword right here that's off to the side. This one is actually really in front of her. She walks forward, she's going to hit it. And then there's this one in front of her too. So for Sagittarius, it's really a feeling of there's nowhere to turn, because everywhere that you turn, there's swords. Everywhere that you turn, there's danger, and feeling like you're being cut off and lonely. So with Sagittarius, and this is only going to apply to some of you, it really does feel like this is like an abusive, like emotionally abusive scenario that you're in, because that's one of the things that happens during emotionally abusive relationships is you eventually being cut off from your friends and your family. And it makes you become more reliant on the other person. And because outside friends and family can see things a little differently. Granted, they don't know everything that's happening within your relationship, but a lot of times they, being one step removed, they are able to see it differently and say, wait a second, no, that is not a good place for you. And so a lot of times in emotionally abusive situations, the person does end up isolated from their friends and family. So there is an element of that seems like it's coming through for our Sagittarius. So if you are in that sort of a situation, please reach out for help, for some professional help. There's lots of resources. You know, you can do phone counseling, things like that to help with that. Let's see, advice from Spirit for Sagittarius. So Three of Pentacles in reverse. This is also a sense of feeling like there's just not much collaboration. Like this way is collaboration. This is kind of like some rivalry. So it's the focus for you, or advice from Spirit, is look at where are you feeling like there's this rivalry. And that's the situation that needs to be addressed for Sagittarius, is that feeling of rivalry. And as I said, you know, there's resources out there for you if you need some additional support in terms of counseling, things like that. So I hope that you found today's message to be helpful. As always, take only what resonates and leave the rest. So I will be doing some additional types of videos, including doing the semi-monthly. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when those post. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.